Hello, my friend. My dear, dear Sisyphus. Has been quite a while since I've seen you, so I want to apologize for that. But I come with a offer to hold the boulder for a little while so that you can have a break from your eternal torment. I thought that even if it's just for a few minutes, you might like a little break. So, here I am. Now, I wanted to offer you some affirmations, some words or phrases that you can repeat to yourself when things get bad or when you're struggling, or just as a reminder. How does that sound? You like that? Okay, me too. Now, before we get started, I must say, I'm not a philosopher or something ridiculous like that. In fact, I am just a random girl sitting in front of a semi-tacky tapestry, although I quite like it. So I'm not an expert in the absurd. Not like you, my absurd hero. But I thought maybe I'll do my part. So I'm going to read my affirmations to you. And I'm going to say them a couple of times. You can say them with me or just listen, whatever feels right for you in this moment or in that particular moment. There's no rush. You want to get started? Okay. Okay, let's get started. So I have the affirmations written down on my MacBook Air. Not sponsored content. But if you see me looking down, that's where I'm looking. At this beauty. She's rose gold. How lovely is that? So, back to the topic. All of the affirmations will be in the format: one must imagine Sisyphus blank. Now fill in that blank for you as we go. So the first one I have is: one must imagine Sisyphus got super buff. One must imagine that Sisyphus got super buff. Think about it, you're pushing that rock up that hill for a long time. You gotta make gains. One must imagine Sisyphus got super buff. Number 2. This one's serious. One must imagine that Sisyphus slayed. Major slay. 1st-degree homicide. Slay. One must imagine that Sisyphus slayed. One must imagine that Sisyphus slayed. Number 3. This is sort of in the same vein as the last one. One must imagine that Sisyphus served on the daily. Served so much that it lost all meaning. One must imagine that Sisyphus served. One must imagine that Sisyphus served? I think we're on number 4. One must imagine that Sisyphus had insane glute gains. One must imagine that Sisyphus had insane glute gains. Think about it seriously. It is a miracle that Sisyphus gyms have not opened up yet. I mean, we have CrossFit, Orange Theory, Peloton workouts, spin workouts. I feel like it's time to return to ancestral primal workouts by just rolling a big ass boulder up a hill and doing it, well, maybe not eternity, that probably wouldn't sell as a model, but for a long time. You're kind of the blueprint. The blueprint. One must imagine that Sisyphus had major glute gains. Now, this next one is related to our last one. One must imagine that Sisyphus was facing the BBL allegations daily. One must imagine that Sisyphus was facing the BBL allegations daily. You've heard of BBL Drizzy, get ready for BBL Sisyphus. Doesn't really have the same ring to it, does it? Oh well. One must imagine that Sisyphus faced the BBL allegations daily. All right, let's see what's next up. I'll preface this by saying this one's really bad. Well, I think it's good, but you're probably not going to like it. Ready? One must imagine that Sisyphus was super rock and roll. Huh? Get it? I had to include it. But think about it, you really are, in the most literal sense. One must imagine that Sisyphus was super rock and roll. One must imagine that Sisyphus was super rock and roll. All right, next up, number 7. You've heard one must imagine Sisyphus is happy. I would like to raise the stakes on that. One must imagine Sisyphus is silly and goofy. One must imagine that Sisyphus is silly and goofy. It's not enough to think of you happy. I need to think that you are a full barrel of laughs. Mayor of Chuckletown. Not content. Silly and goofy. I'm getting the sense that these aren't resonating with you. Yeah, that's okay. I kind of planned for that. Want me to change tone a little bit? Yeah? I have some other ones that I think you might really resonate with. So, I think you need to hear this today. Keep in mind, not a philosopher. But number 8, one must imagine Sisyphus embraced life for life's sake. One must imagine that Sisyphus embraced life for life's sake. One must imagine that Sisyphus embraced life for life's sake. Number 9. One must imagine that Sisyphus lived with passion. One must imagine that Sisyphus lived with passion. One must imagine that Sisyphus lived with passion. I hope you do. I really hope you do. Here's the last one. This one I think you really need to hear today. One must imagine Sisyphus continues to live and does it happily. One must imagine Sisyphus continues to live and does it happily. One must imagine Sisyphus continues to live and does it happily. I'm glad you liked those last ones. I have a few more if you'd like. I can print them out for you. I'm not going to give you the MacBook. They're a little pricey these days. But I can give them to you and you can refer back to them whenever you like. I hope you enjoyed our time together because I enjoyed it quite a bit. And I'm just really grateful that we could have this opportunity to connect, chat, share some words of wisdom with each other in this crazy, crazy, absurd world. So I will say, remember that accepting the absurd is the beginning and not the end. So I hope that we can continue this journey together and keep going. Keep rocking and rolling. That shouldn't make me giggle as much as it does, but it does, so I'm leaving it in the video. But I will leave you here for today, and I hope that I will be able to see you soon. So, bye.